Welcome back to In His Mind. So this video is a long time coming and it's kind of behind the scenes, so to speak, where it's important but it's not all up in your face, and it never will be. But this is something that has been brought to mind by a specific comment from another user, and I may end up just having that part be the screenshot for the video, like the title, the picture representation or whatever. This actually affects a lot of the younger people more than the older people, and the repercussions are there, which is why it matters. I mean, this whole thing is on the repercussions of it all, and compared to now, it was very different back then. The internet was a lot more free, there was a lot less restrictions, and obviously a lot less spam and problems and all that, but I want to say censorship is not completely a bad thing, because it does kind of kill off the anonymity, and you basically end up talking to verified users at the very end. Of course, everything's monitored and watched by then, and it's obviously a lot less fun because, you know, certain things you can't say or do or whatever. Oh, and on top of that, certain things get restricted or put into different categories that you may or may not have access to. For me, I started off online like everyone else with the whole, like, going to the used to computers at school. I'm trying to remember what they were. Oh man, it was the old systems, Windows NT, and there was the safety nets, so you can't explore anything beyond like educational content. You can't even play games. Yahoo Games was banned. Like, you couldn't do anything on there. So that was my first introduction to the internet and all of that. I had a very real interest in technology, electronics, and computers back then. But jumping to when I was in the Army, that I first got deployed, and that's when I truly had freedom with, like, the internet. I got on to these chat messengers, IMVU, spell it how it sounds, .com, and I want to say in 2009, 2010, it could have been the same year later down the road, but Second Life popped up, which was a direct competition to IMVU. And it really, I couldn't explore Second Life, sadly, because my laptop just couldn't support it at that time. I would love to go back to it, but honestly, my laptops are old and they can't handle it. Like, I've just never really had the time or the right laptop in order to actually do that, sadly. But one of these days I'll check it out. I've heard a lot about it. It's been on the back of my mind. It's not important or anything, but anyway, that's a side topic for another day. The repercussions of role-playing. This is subtle. This could be severe depending upon how far deep you fall into it, just like the addiction for online gaming is actually severe and deep for those who are stuck in playing World of Warcraft. I've heard about that for years, and maybe you all have too, who knows. Either way, I want to say that picking an online representation of who you are, and I did talk about this previously about one of the other videos that talks about the dangers of, I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a year ago. This ties in closely with that other video. I may have to actually try to find it and link it down below, because it does go into some severe issues that pop up because of this. But as a whole, picking an online representation of who you are is something that's still going on today with Facebook. You know, pick your avatar, and they make it incredibly simple. not really fun. They try to have your characters looking like they're fun and having a good time and all that, but an online representation of who you are, that could be quite a bit. And IMVU just had a lot of fun with everything, because back then it was, well, less restrictions, more freedom. You could go more sci-fi and less realistic. Oh boy, you could go. You could be a punk rocker. You could be a singer. Yeah, of course, once they started adding all the support for content creators to like make stuff and then sell it, people had fun with that too. But they started making a whole bunch of these adult content, you know, like these equivalent to a 6-inch dicks and the exaggerated breasts and all of that. Like the online adult content, which fell under the AP pass, adult pass, I think is what it stood for. It just blew up, and I remember Johnny B. Bad, who he ended up being a part of or leading the charge to, down in Australia, I want to say 2009, maybe 2010. This was during one of my 2 deployments. He was a part of a case that was trying to, like, when you spend money buying something online, you should have access to it. And there was issues with some of the music down at that point in time. So, and this is a bit of a side, like going off the side here. And this does matter because the online world is not really the same as real life. But you make real life purchases, there should be some staying power, like I have access to this for the rest of the time that this platform is alive and existing and all that. And the same thing goes with real life songs. Like, you spend money, you should buy it and all that. Of course, IMVU, they, I don't know what happened to that case. Things fell through, but Johnny B. Bad just stopped. Like, his page was significantly different and he was just gone. He had quite a bit on his page at that point in time. One of the only things that I remember was this huge, like, 6-inch blonde chick. It's animated picture where she's basically had just a shirt on and nothing else. You can see literally everything else, the hooters, down below, all of that, and she's just walking. Like, the animation is just a walking animation. And his character was on a rug. He had his 2 females on either side of him. He was a very interesting character. I did kind of follow him a little bit because the case caught my interest, and it was very interesting at that point in time about the intellectual properties and online properties and who owns what when you actually spend real life money. In the end, a lot of money was actually returned to the users, and these online, like the music and stuff, was either outright confiscated or changed to be significantly less than what it was. Like, basically from songs to sound bites, to like 30-second sound bites, if I remember correctly. Anyway, intellectual property, this ties in with that because it doesn't tie in directly with role play. It ties in with like the other parts, the technical aspects, and just how far money goes when you spend your money on this stuff. Like, role play itself can be anything from picking an avatar to actually like being that avatar. And the dangers of trying to make something that is online not just represent who you are, but be who you are. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dig that video up, just because I went more in depth into that, and it was pretty good. But yeah, role playing itself, one of the couple things that I've noticed that stands out is those who are younger, they wanna have fun, they wanna explore. Maybe things are still the same today as they were like 15, 20 years ago. I'm not sure. And I'm not talking about the technology staying the same, because that's not the case. What I'm talking about is you're discovering something that is new, that is possibly freeing, because back then it was new, it was free, it was fresh, it was pretty cool. And then just being able to I want to have this be who I am. I want to look like this person and that. And you start buying a whole bunch of stuff, and you throw it in your character and all that. I bought a lot, but it didn't really mean much to me until someone gifted me a certain outfit. I think it's probably best not to go into that. Actually, I was gifted several. One of them, the one that I hold the most, was by a special needs sweetheart who went by, her online username was KickYou, and she was awesome, but she dropped off the face of the grid too, back probably around 2013 as well. Actually, I think it was like 2011 when I left the army, active duty, and I don't know what happened to her. I wish her the best. I don't know. I hope she's okay. I don't see her popping on Xbox anymore. I used to see her pop one years ago, and now she's just kind of dropped off. There's a very real problem when the whole role playing thing kind of takes over your real life per se, rather than complementing it. That's something to at least point out at the very least. So it can, if you use correctly, you can bolster friendships and make some really cool friends, have memorable conversations. Because I definitely had some. I know for that fact. So the second and some of the other outfits that came to me were by other treasured individuals. One of them, she was someone who I ended up caring about very much for years, and she and I had a real chance for a relationship, a real relationship where I could have gone over and we could have started something, or at least talked and see where we kind of lay together with our lives and all that. But me not paying attention and just completely being single-minded, when I left the army, I completely forgot all about that, and I started focusing on the here and the now, quote unquote, back then. And I unintentionally forgot about her, and I still feel bad about that, because it was a relationship that we had worked on for quite some time, and it could have gone somewhere. Who knows? She is now currently content with her grandkids, and the real sad thing is, I'm going to go briefly into this, not too much. The guy or guys who came behind me, because I know for a fact it's one, ended up mistreating her horribly to the point where it was literally abuse, and she ended up getting injured, maybe even crippled by it. I don't know the full extent of the injuries or the damage, but she pretty much changed after that, and it's very heartbreaking. She meant a lot to me, because we spent all these years too. There was other people too, but she gifted me some of the adult stuff for my character, and even some new models. You can actually have male and female models, as far as tying this to role play and all that. And it's very intriguing in the sense of just what all can be who you are. Just like plastic surgery costing hundreds of thousands of dollars to change your looks, you can do the same thing online, obviously for a lot less, and without any pain. Oh jeez. Now there's too many options and choices, so that makes it more of a headache, and obviously there's no repercussions like some of the failed plastic surgeries will show. I want to say the repercussions of that, though, is you could have a inflated ego, self-inflated ego, just because how do I say this? When you get a lot of compliments online, just as you do in real life, the effect seems to be very much the same. You know, you become more prideful, you become more arrogant, and you, to an extent, you change. Praise will change you no matter where you are at in your life, online or real life. Now, I think where that comes into your life matters. You're beat to shit verbally, and you're torn down in real life after years, and then you're getting a whole bunch of compliments because your character is awesome, they're hot, sexy, or whatever. That could be a real bolster in real life or online. I want to say it's very interesting seeing the effects of people's character not just represent them but become them. Like, this is who I am, and you start slipping from reality to what is basically fantasy and fiction, you know, what is not real. Roleplay itself, though, is more of like, it can go into something very hardcore, as in you're typing out a whole bunch of stuff and you're reenacting, so to speak, rather than just, you know, this is my character and all that. So, yeah, I had a couple of friends. They gifted me some stuff that was important. The adult stuff that I really don't want to talk too much about it was mostly because I'm not even sure where to go from all that. Because for IMVU, there's rooms, there's stuff involving the people, there's probably a lot more. I'm not on it like I used to be, sadly. So I'm struggling to recall some of the stuff. There's locations, and there's parts to outfits, and there's accessories, there's pets, there's vehicles, weapons. There's stuff that complements your character in whatever way or capacity you can imagine or, you know, see yourself. All of that. Now, back in the day, there was also this craze for marriage. Like, IMVU was changing from being more adult friendly to being more kid friendly, and they were doing this whole marriage thing, and it blew up. I saw that, and I was concerned because I was like, I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's good. And having kids obsessed over marriage really ended up changing a lot, and I don't know to what extent, though, but I know that marriage itself can be something very sweet and significant if it's done right. You know, not just simply people are in it for the sex and the thrills. Ugh. There's a song called Cheap Thrills that I listen to on the way to work here, and that kind of comes to mind there. No, I'm not linking that song, but whatever, it fits. Cheap Thrills. It's good, though. It's a good song. Yeah, so pretty much at the end, you're going to get lost, you're going to get stuck, and you may have identity issues. This stuff goes further and further down all these different rabbit holes from where it originally started, which was an online representation of who you are. And that is not necessarily a bad or a wrong thing. There's nothing moral about that, per se, because it's like a different life that you live. And this is real, but it's not in reality, per se. Especially when these programs they can be defunct, they can fall apart, they can just simply shut down after years of service. Ogle or Omega or whatever, this was something that recently shut down that a lot of people were affected by. They were just basically crying and throwing the sad and tear emojis. They're basically like, oh, this sucks because I love this, blah, blah, blah. And there's others that have shut down too. X-Fire was my favorite one back that shut down like 2015 or 16 or whatever. Could have been earlier, but it was like the ultimate gamer messenger where you could do everything from talk to others to record they record these specific moments when you're playing these games to connect you with other users within these PC games. Like, it did pretty much everything that you wanted, with the exception of like mini games. Yeah, mini games. That's a lot of fun. It just simply shut down. It was no longer funded. Xfire was just awesome. I think I started losing a lot of interest in the PC world with all of that in around 2015, when some of my favorite stuff just simply shut it down and all that. I was also going through some personal issues too, from 2011 to 2016, and it really kind of sucked. So my shift was already changing because of that anyway. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I wrap this up and kind of just be like, all right, boom. I want to say things are still going to progress slowly, and if you are struggling at all trying to make sense of this stuff, or you're having identity issues, you should keep asking questions, and if they're severe enough, go definitely look up for some help and get professional answers for some of the stuff, just because identity issues are very severe and they will last for the rest of your life, potentially. Like, who you are has been significantly altered and challenged to this world today, where there's a lot that's just simply not there that it once was. You know, guys are growing up being stuck in transition, or they're still as in the same mindset of when they were kids. So transitioning over to being men and adults is extremely hard. Owning a home, getting married, these things are not really even tied to becoming a man anymore, sadly. And all this plays a part with role play to very minor degrees. You're looking for someone to be someone, and over time, your focus shifts from basically, for basically fun and meeting others and having a good time, to things that last longer, that go into the future, so to speak, that last. Like relationships, and where are we going to go from here, if you happen to find someone. And believe me, there's tons of cool people, or people they act a certain way that draws you in, or they have a character that are just like, boom, smoking hot. I want to say, meeting up with these people too, the fantasy ends up dropping to reality. And yeah, I did meet up with one person here, and that didn't exactly significantly alter my life, but it did make me aware that there is a very serious disconnect between people's characters and who they are. You don't ever think about this until it actually hits you, and you're like, you're seeing this for like the first time. Ultimately, though, there's going to be a lot more going down this road, just because there's money involved, and it's easy and monetize masks and outfits for being like who you are. And this is very much a very real reality. People wear masks, they wear different outfits to hide who they are, not complement who they are, and it becomes who they are. And as a result, there will be very significant problems and issues that pop up because of this. This is normal by a lot of extents, because people, they tend to hide what's important, for better or worse, because not everything that is important is good. Some of it's downright immoral and evil, because you don't know their intentions. Obviously, keeping this very simple and keeping it to role play only. There's a lot here, and it goes off into different directions, so I want to keep it simple. If there's anything more, I'll list it down below, but hopefully you enjoyed this, and until next time.